America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to
Believe It or Not.
the show where we believe it
Or not.
or not.
Or not.
Damien, what's new?
Not a whole lot. You know, the usual.
Yeah.
Living life.
To the fullest?
I'm probably about 60%, maybe. Maybe closer to like 45.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We record these in advance, and right now we're in the middle of the Just for Laughs JFL 42 in Toronto.
That's true. So
we're seeing lots of comedy.
Watching shows.
Comedy shows.
So
yeah.
Living more of a life.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
So probably, so I said 45. Let's bump it up to 53.
Okay.
Yeah. Sound fair?
Sounds fair. Yeah. If you don't, if you've never checked it out, check out comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should.
I really enjoy it. But the Christmas season is approaching. Well, I guess we'd say we're in the Christmas season.
The holiday spirit.
The holiday spirit is upon us.
Would you say we're, I guess, when they're listening to this.
Yeah, when they're listening. So now for us, we're pretensies to be in the holiday, in the Christmas season. But for the people listening, they're legit in the Christmas season at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. So they're buying presents for their loved ones.
If they have them.
If they have them. They're drinking eggnog.
If they have it.
If they have it.
Or they're not lactose intolerant.
Yeah, exactly. They're drinking vegan eggnog if they're vegan.
I've never had vegan eggnog.
No, me neither.
Is there vegan eggnog?
I'm sure there is.
I mean, that's a lot of things that you have to simulate.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Eggnog's one of those drinks where every couple of years I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll have a glass of eggnog.
Yeah.
And then I get about a third of the way through it and I'm like, I don't really like eggnog.
Okay. Yeah, I like it, but I'll buy a carton and then I'll have one drink. And then I'm like, well, there better be other people who are going to enjoy eggnog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a weird drink that you think you're going to like and then you never like.
Yeah.
And it gets stanky in your fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember we were cleaning the fridge in the spring and I found a carton of eggnog this year. It's like, oh, this is that's disgusting. So, but that's that. Another staple though of the Christmas season is those little fuckers, those guys who ring that little bell outside your grocery store or shopping mall, and they have a bucket, and they want you to put money in it. Name of Salvation Army.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Before we get in, I just wanted to say about the war on Christmas.
Yes.
Starbucks, because we both worked there. How much did you hate steaming eggnog?
Oh yeah, that was the worst.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't taste good.
It did not taste good.
I don't think I made that many, to be honest.
No, I feel like at the other coffee shop I worked at, it was like eggnog flavored thing you'd put a pump of, like you would with other.
Yeah, I mean maybe do half eggnog, half milk, and then add some nutmeg or something.
Yeah, but Starbucks it's like just straight eggnog, and it's really tough to steam.
It steamed very loudly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It shrieked.
Sound like a screaming child.
You know what it was? That is the true cost of the war of Christmas. It's holiday spirit being wrenched apart with hot steam. So.
Oh, and speaking of the war on Christmas, last year we did our War on Christmas episode. This year we are going to do a special episode as our War on Christmas.
Yes, our War on Christmas. We're getting ready. We're stuffing the stockings with some holiday ammunition.
Yeah. So what do you hate about Christmas? Send that in. Or what do you want us to take down? Are we talking Last Christmas by Wham? Do you hate that?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I mean, I think, last Christmas, you gave me my heart, the very next day.
Yeah.
Or I gave you my heart, and the very next day gave it away.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that their right to do?
Yeah, that's true. That is the right.
Saying.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't like someone, it's okay not to to be with them.
But then again, maybe they were leading them on.
That's true.
So,
but maybe that's the right too.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
They took a day to think about it, and you're like, you know what? I'm not really into this.
Yeah, exactly. But back to Salvation Army. Do you ever call it Sally Ann?
I've heard it.
Yeah. You don't like nicknames.
Oh, I don't mind nicknames. I just... Why are we calling it the Sally Ann?
It's a fun nickname because Salvation Army, Sally Ann.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah, but like why?
But
yeah, it doesn't save much time.
People always do that with things, though. They always just like, oh, let's give it something that changes it just enough. But like Value Village, some people call it like VV Boutique, or things like that, or GT Boutique
when you
for
call
Giant Tiger.
Walmart, Wally World,
yeah.
It's just like, get over yourself.
Yeah. We know where you shop.
Yeah, exactly.
In the corporate shitholes of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And the not corporate shitholes.
And
the poorhouse. Is.
And the poorhouse. You ever buy anything at Salvation Army thrift stores?
Yeah, I bought stuff at thrift stores.
Yeah. It was
I shop in those shitholes too.
Yeah.
Stuff that people don't want.
Yeah, I want them.
They give it away.
Yeah. I shot a video a couple years ago called 2 VCRs. I know, world famous video, 2 VCRs. And I bought them at a thrift store, but I checked out Salvation Army first, and they had the coolest old vintage, like first generation VCR there. And I should have bought it. It was the coolest thing. It was like toggle switches, and who doesn't love a good toggle? And it was like the kind where you press, like you put the tape in and then it's like on top and you push that thing down and it goes. Oh, it was just so huge too. Like,
probably $700 when it came out.
Yeah, exactly.
And now $7?
Yeah,
probably.
I think it's about $7. So. Yeah. But
thanks, Obama.
A lot of people don't know though. Salvation Army. Did you know it's a church?
Yeah, I think I did know that.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very religious organization.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've actually attended some of the church services from the Salvation Army.
Okay, so they have church services?
Yeah.
Like actual services.
Yeah.
I figured it was just like a religious organization. I didn't realize that it was a full-on
Yeah, it's a full-on church denomination.
Okay,
and so
so it is a denomination.
Yeah, and then the denomination runs the thrift stores and
the shelters
and all those things. So it's a lot of like, it's the church members and stuff that will help run these organizations, and they have like jobs and stuff that they hire people for too. But I think a lot of times you, like, if you're attending a church, you'll kind of be expected to do some hours at the thrift store or at the shelter or whatever.
Really?
Whatever else. Yeah.
So it's kind of, so are everyone who works at like those places volunteers then?
No, they do have other employees as well.
Okay, so they pay some, but then they also don't pay others.
Yeah.
Right.
And they've actually gotten some hot water for that. But we'll get into the hot water section in a bit. Let's talk a little bit about their history.
All right, let's start from the beginning.
1865, East London.
That's too long ago.
That's too long ago, yeah. A gentleman named by the name of William Booth and his wife Catherine Booth started something that they called the East London Mission.
Okay.
They were Methodist preachers. Methodism comes, out of the holiness movement, and then they had a lot of holiness kind of ideals as well, and part of it was making sure that everybody hears the gospel and everybody is kind of taken care of, and everybody that there's nobody in society who should be neglected or forgotten. So that's why they kind of,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
the whole point of East London Christian Mission was to convert the gambler, the prostitute, the alcoholic, the addict, and
so they're not that.
They're not. Yeah. So so they're reformed and they're not that. And then so that's kind of how they started. So it wasn't originally called the Salvation Army until 1978.
Do you think they tried to get gamblers to stop or to believe in the Lord by saying, "Why don't you take a gamble on the Lord?"
Take away. Probably.
And then the guy was so addicted to gambling that they took a chance on God.
Yeah, and then God showed Himself to them, and He
put it all on black and nothing.
Nothing.
House wins.
God, you there? So one of their members was writing a letter, one of the kind of leaders, and he said, "We have a very strong volunteer army." And someone was like, "No, it's not a volunteer army. We're a Salvation Army."
Oh,
and so
roll credits.
Roll credits. It was also around the same time that they're leaving the Methodist denomination, becoming not just a mission, but their own church denomination, and kind of moving on from there.
Would you watch the origin of the Salvation Army movie? The Salvation Network? if they made it?
I mean, I'd watch it, but whether that could be pretty bad. Oh, the Salvation Network. Yeah,
I think that's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Would it be written by Aaron Sorkin?
Yes, it would have to be.
It would have to be, or
with the soundtrack by Trent Reznor.
Yeah. And then with the name Army already in use, they're like, well, why don't we just go by Army structures? So they kind of like William Booth became the general. Catherine,
they kept the order too.
The order, yeah.
Okay.
So he became like the general of the army. His wife became the mother of the Salvation Army.
The mother.
Yeah.
The mother is not an army.
Not an army thing. But then they would have like soldiers were kind of like the base, and then they'd have
like general,
captain,
captain,
like,
sergeant,
private. Exactly. They would
just
have
like
all
the
those
KISS
things.
Army,
and they have uniforms. So different countries, just like the KISS Army. So different countries have different kind of colors for their army in their country or whatever, but there's different ranks. And so like, and I remember too, the church I visited, because my friend went there, so I visited there a couple times, and they move people around a lot. You're kind of assigned where you're going to be. So the church is kind of run almost like a dictatorship for 3 years or whatever. And like, this person makes all the decisions, and then they move on to another place. So people will just stop going there for a while if they don't like the minister or whatever that they have.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'll notice sometimes you'll walk around and all you'll see, like during the holiday season, you'll see the bell ringers and they just incessantly ring the bell.
Yeah.
And that's all they fucking do. And then sometimes you never see them. So maybe it's just because they have someone who's just like, you got to get out there, you got to ring that bell. And like, but I'm driving people nuts and I'm losing my mind because I'm constantly ringing this bell and I'm going to kill somebody.
Exactly.
And they're just like, just keep ringing the bell. We got to get that money.
Yeah.
And then that person leaves and the other guy's just like, dude, guys, just chill on the bells.
Yeah, exactly. So Booth described their mission with the three S's. So soup, soap, and salvation. Get people fed, get people clean, and get them saved.
Yeah, fed, bed, and wed.
Fed, bed, and wed.
Basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. 1880s when they moved out of England and moved to other countries. Australia, Ireland, and the U.S. were the first three.
Is this when they started different colors too?
I think so. That might have actually come down later.
I've never seen... no. I've seen them. Are they like blue uniforms here?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Okay,
They're
I
like
have
a
seen
darker
those.
blue. Yeah.
But I don't know if I've seen anyone in real life wearing them.
No.
Or if I've just seen it in commercials.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it in real life because at the church, a lot of people will wear their uniforms to church instead of wearing your Sunday best. You're wearing your uniform. Yeah. Everyone's welcome. Like anybody can come to the service, but a lot of the people who have any sort of like history with the church or any sort of rank within the church will wear their uniform. And it's like kind of a big deal to get that uniform and everything like that. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so they give you the uniform?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have to pay for it or if you're given it.
Can you buy one at the Salvation Armies?
Maybe the Salvation Army surplus store.
That's true. I would go there.
Yeah.
And you can buy a holiday tank.
Yeah, exactly. But according to Wikipedia, because they took a while to actually officially move to other countries, as people there's a lot of immigration at this point anyway, so people are kind of setting up their own little Salvation Army-esque churches and missions and stuff like that. Yeah. So then once they officially would move into these countries, they would already kind of have feet on the ground and they would
bootleg Salvation Armies.
Bootleg Salvation Armies, and then they would kind of merge and become official Salvation Armies and stuff. So they kind of had instant congregations as they moved. They were kind of had a good reputation, but not like kind of, little like questioning eyes or whatever in the early days of like, what's your motivation here? But the 1906 hurricane in San Francisco and the 1900 the Galveston hurricane, they both, the Salvation Army went in and like was a really good relief for him and like really helped a lot of people out. And it was kind of then that they started to really get the notoriety of a really good organization. Did
the Salvation Army predate the Red Cross?
I think so. Okay. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because I think they're the primary guys who do a lot of that. I'm sure
they do a lot of that now. Yeah. I don't know. Is the Red Cross, they're a secular organization, right? Or are they
I actually don't know. Well, I know Red Cross is all volunteer based, so I don't know though.
Oh, and it started around the same time.
Oh, okay.
So Red Cross was 2 years before 1863, and it started in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
So
the Swiss.
The Swiss beat us to it.
I'm sick of the Swiss.
Yeah.
That's a reference to a comedy sketch. I'm not actually sick of the Swiss.
And I don't hate Winnipeg. Just the song.
So are they secular or are they?
Oh, it looks like they're secular.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a humanitarian organization. Yeah.
Good.
Let's talk about some of their beliefs. They have, like, I guess you'd say, their own creed.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a little different in kind of some of their practices and some of their core beliefs from other Christian organizations. But at the end of the day, they're just like a basic holiness movement, evangelical church. So they believe definitely in like the Bible and the scripture and all that stuff. But a couple things that sort of separate them from other churches is they don't believe in communion. So they don't take communion, part because they've always been so big against alcoholism, things like that. They didn't want to have that kind of option in the church. Right. A lot of churches at the time were switching to grape juice or water for their communion, but they just decided not to do communion at all.
I mean, okay, so you're switching to grape juice or water. Don't you think God would know?
Yeah. Well, maybe God's like not paying attention when they're setting it up.
Didn't he say to use wine and food? I don't know. What did he say?
He said, "This is my blood. Drink this in remembrance of me." So
he never actually said for people to do it.
Yeah.
It was just a story that he told for some people.
Basically, yeah.
So it
became, I think in the Bible, there is something about they will do this for all the days or something like that.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has to be wine, though.
Like
so if you're not using wine,
then
you're fucking up.
Yep, it's true. So they cut it out altogether because they were also saying, because there was a lot of emphasis on you're forgiven when you do communion, and they wanted to say like, no, it's not about that. It's about an inward salvation. It's not about an outward like sign or outward like penance or things like that. So
I think the point I want to make is that if you're able to change what you're doing communion with, you should be okay with abortion.
Yeah, exactly. That is what we're all saying.
And gay people and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
So I just want to lead with that.
Exactly. They also don't believe in baptism for the same reason of
you don't want to dunk a baby.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of those videos of just like slam dunking a kid by the heel several times?
But yeah, so they don't believe in baptism for like the same reason, where it's just like a physical outside sign, when really you should just be relying on the Holy Spirit doing it or whatever.
Right.
So, and they also really don't believe in gambling, like at all. They won't even do like raffles for like charity or whatever if like they're at a school and they're doing like a raffle for a fundraiser or whatever. Like that's against the rules.
I don't even think schools anymore do that, because I remember in Ontario a big thing for a long time was bingo.
Oh yeah,
was a big thing for a lot of. I mean, at least in my school board, I know that was a big thing for fundraising. Yeah. And then they were not allowed to do it anymore for some reason.
Religious.
They said they're not supposed to gamble or something.
And I remember once when I was at the church, this guy was giving this testimony about how he was given like a free scratch ticket. You know how sometimes at grocery stores you get like a thing, and it's like it's just a coupon. It's just a fun
or like
way
a
to
code.
Do a coupon. Yeah.
Like you get this, you get 5% off your next or thing when you come in.
And he was saying he gave it back to the cashier, and she was like, "Oh no, you can keep that." And he's like, "No, I don't believe in gambling." And she's like, "Oh, okay, you don't want to give it to any friends?" He's like, "I don't want to participate in this sin or whatever." And like, it was this big testimony that he was giving in church. I'm like, this is the funniest thing. Like, he won't take a coupon.
You didn't want a coupon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there are other beliefs are kind of similar.
I feel like the good Lord likes a deal.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's just because I grew up Dutch, and we're very we don't turn down deals. We love a good deal.
I mean, I guess you could justify it either way. Like if you're given the coupon, it could either be a temptation, but what if it's the other way? And what if God is giving you this coupon in order to save money for your family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And,
it seems to be circular logic. Is I think what I mean is that. You're just running around in circles. It could go either way, but you're just choosing whichever befits your perceived morality in that case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true.
What am I talking about?
What the
fuck am I talking about?
They have a big
if you'd like me to shut up, send us a hashtag.
Damien, shut up. But don't, because we love Damien, and he's just going through a rough time.
I mean, it'd be fine if you did.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't mind trending.
Okay. A lot of their creed has to do with repentance, and
with arms wide open.
How? Yeah, exactly. And how you are justified by grace. So it's kind of the whole holiness movement thing.
Justified by grace.
So your salvation or your entrance into heaven is by the grace of God.
Okay.
But it's also a continued thing where you have to live an obedient life and obedient faith in Christ. So that means that's what the charity work and all that stuff comes
obedient.
from. Yeah, obedient, yeah.
Right.
And
like a dog.
Yeah. And to go back to the denomination thing, I don't know if I kind of touched on this, and then I think we had some technical issues, but a lot of churches kind of frowned upon the down and out kind of people coming into their church, like,
right.
You know,
they were trying to gentrify the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they didn't want the riffraff.
Yeah. And so that's why they decided, another reason they decided to start their own church, so that they can just welcome anybody. And it's supposed to be this, and it was like,
I gotta say,
this place of welcoming.
That is a plus in my book.
Yeah.
For that type of organization. Anyway.
Let's do some trivia about the Salvation Army. The song Strawberry Fields Forever by the Beatles refers to a Salvation Army orphanage called Strawberry Field, where John Lennon used to play behind and sometimes play with some of the kids from the orphanage. The phrase "on the wagon" was coined by members of the Salvation Army Church. Evangeline Booth, William Booth's daughter, would drive her wagon through the streets of New York to encourage alcoholics to board for a ride back to the Salvation Army. And so if they're on the wagon, then that meant they were still not.
So it was a literal wagon.
It was a literal wagon.
Okay.
Yeah. Donuts have some roots in the Salvation Army, or their popularity. In 1917, some Salvation Army volunteers went to the army on the fronts or whatever, and had donut day where they would give baked goods, including donuts, and they would fry up donuts, and this became like a very nostalgic thing for soldiers.
Right.
And so when they would come home, they would seek out donuts, and donuts became more popular, and so that's because of the Salvation Army. And another thing is, you know how Salvation Army has music playing a lot of times? They'll have like Salvation Army bands.
Do they?
Yeah, I think a good example, do you remember the Mr. Bean Christmas special?
Yeah.
When there's a band on the street, that was a Salvation Army band, and he like gets them donations by catching the pickpocket and making him pickpocket give all his money to the church, and then he accidentally conducts the band.
I think that I don't think I've ever seen a Salvation Army band here.
No.
Is that a more European thing?
I think it's probably more a European thing. But the way that started was they would go around the streets trying to convert people and trying to like save the down and out kind of people. And people were tired of the Salvation Army, and also, and so
rightly so.
People would get in fights and stuff.
Man, I'm tired of the bell ringers.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they had a whole band.
Well, that's the thing. This family volunteered to kind of act as bodyguards for some of these people, but they were also musicians, so they would bring their instruments along to play, and they found that playing music and stuff got them more accepted and also distracted people if they were trying to pick fights and stuff.
That's true. I mean, if they were really knocking out some bangers, I mean, if they really fucking slapped, that'd be good.
Like just a free bird, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's talk about some controversies around the Salvation Army Church and organization.
Right. What'd they do?
Let's see. Well, at first people just didn't like them because pub owners didn't like them because they would take their customers.
Oh, would they go into bars?
They would go into bars.
That's a dick move.
They would also like get all these people sober, help get all these people sober, and then not as many people are going to the pubs. Yeah. So people were angry with the Salvation Army and started their kind of anti-Salvation Army group called the Skeleton Army, where they'd like throw things at Salvation Army
Skeleton Army.
Yeah.
Now this is cool.
Cool name.
I mean, it would be really scary to run into a skeleton army.
It would be.
Have you seen a skeleton before?
I've seen Jason and the Argonauts.
Okay. I'm not familiar, but I know the story of, but I don't know this film I'm assuming a film.
The Jason and the Argonauts?
I haven't seen it.
I just know that scene where the skeletons come up and
Oh, like in Evil Dead 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're I mean, it was just Halloween, if you're listening.
Yeah.
So you might have been to the grocery store or the mall or your neighbor's house and you saw a skeleton. And that's what we look like under all of our muscles. And,
That's us.
And if there was a whole army of those,
That'd be scary.
that would be scary.
There's also been a lot of issues with Salvation Army and the LGBT community.
This is what I was leading to.
Yeah,
earlier.
and that's kind of their main thing.
I don't want to say to be fair, because that's not what I mean. But the Salvation Army is not the only religious organization to not have a good...
No, they are not. No, they
so
are not. Yeah.
I'm not saying to be fair, but they are not necessarily unique in that. Right. Please continue.
So, because of a lot of laws protecting religious organizations, they've been exempt from any hiring rules that stop you from discriminating against LGBT people, because they're allowed to ask people if they will follow their articles of faith or whatever.
But they're also for volunteer positions, right?
No,
or for paid positions.
For paid positions as well. Yeah, so a lot of times in a lot of places they are allowed to discriminate against LGBT people for hiring because they are a religious organization, which they've been called out many, many times for. In 1997, the city of San Francisco had created a law requiring companies doing business with the city government to extend domestic benefits to same-sex partners. I'm reading that directly from Wikipedia. They fought this law tooth and nail.
The Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Right.
So they've also fought against a lot of laws that would have made it so that they had to hire or even give benefits to same-sex couples. So they were, I don't know, like, whether they want to hire people and then not give benefits to their family. Like, it's ridiculous. I think I've told the story.
Of all the things that you could fight tooth and nail to stop, helping people support their families and the people they love is probably one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not one of the worst things. I mean, mandatory sterilization and euthanization of the elderly, those would probably be really bad too.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. 2004, they threatened to cease all operations in New York City if they were required to give benefits to their same-sex employees. So I guess at this point they had hired same-sex employees, but they didn't want to give, or like for their partners, they didn't want to extend benefits to their...
If I was New York, I would have been like, all right,
get
cool,
out. Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. 2012 in Canada, this one doesn't say what city it was, but a Salvation Army bell ringer at Christmas was wearing a sign that said, "If you support gay rights, please do not donate." Which, okay. Like, I guess I won't, and I'll never donate again.
What I find interesting is it's an organization that's trying to help the disenfranchised, the downtrodden, people who are in desperate need, and a lot of those communities are people who would fall under those sort of categories. Would you not?
Yeah, exactly.
Agree?
Yeah,
at least in some way. I'm not saying that these communities are rife with people in that, but they are a marginalized group.
Exactly, and
you would think that they would want. You would hope that an organization would be able to put aside some of their archaic belief systems in order to assist people.
Yeah,
but no.
Yeah, they did the same thing in the UK, trying to fight laws that would give certain rights to homosexuals, and in New Zealand they were active in fighting some of this stuff too.
You know what I say? I think that if you want to fight these laws and organizations and things like that from being passed in your country, then you should have to pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're fighting in
if you want to have any say in that stuff as a religious organization, pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Until then, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. There's also been a lot of issues with shelters denying trans people, shelters denying same-sex couples, things like that, where or at least separating them, and where they do have family quarters, but they'll separate them just because they are same sex. I was just watching a video though. I think it was in Winnipeg a couple years ago. They opened Salvation Army did open a shelter specifically for same-sex families, and there is some changes happening.
What I see my first thought about that is like, okay, nice, they're opening an organization, but the fact that you said it was a separate place for them, I'm immediately like, okay, so they're segregating them right away. So they're still making a big distinction that this is different.
Yeah, exactly.
We're putting this aside. It just sounds like it's trying to be a positive PR move, but all it ends up really sounding like is that you're like, we don't want them in the normal shelters, so here's one for them. Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty fucked up. And if it's a family unit anyway, like, why do you need a separate place for them? It's like, I don't know. Yeah. Well, are they afraid that these people are going to corrupt these people's minds or something? Are they going to spread the gay? It doesn't. These are people. The people who are here are here for a reason. Yeah, they're in most desperate time, and the last thing you should be worried about is any of this. Yeah, what their PP looks like. Yeah. We should probably look a bit more into the Red Cross to kind of get a counterpoint to this. Yeah, I really like to see how that fares, because I'm sure there's probably some some things we could probably dig up or something. Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that they're a much better organization as far as me too. Putting that shit aside. Yeah. Another thing, in 2010 in Calgary, I was living there at the time. I don't remember this happening though, but the Salvation Army toy drive at Christmas was destroying any Harry Potter or Twilight toys that were donated. I remember hearing about Harry Potter books being like banned and destroyed when I was in public school. I think this was even before I even really read them. Yeah. And I remember being a kid and being confused. I'm like, why? Yeah, exactly. It didn't make sense to me when I was a child. Yeah. When I was like 8 years old, I didn't get it. Yeah. I still don't fucking get it. It's true. Did you hear the recent story about the exorcist who went into a Catholic school and told them to get rid of all their Harry Potter books? Because he said the spells that in the books are real spells, so when the kids are reading them, if they read them out loud, they can accidentally cause magic. Right. Okay. First of all, no. I don't know. Another. I mean, they're not even really. They're about a magic school, but more of it is really about like just going to school and relationships. Yeah, exactly. That's like most of what the books really are. Yeah, written by a Christian woman. Is she very Christian? I don't know if she's very Christian, but she's like normal type Lutheran or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of, I don't think she has an agenda against God. Like what's his face? His Dark Materials. Oh, Philip Poelman. Yeah, I'm like, why can't I know that? Why can't I think of that name? That's the same as mine. Sort of similar. Trevor? Yeah. Yeah, also in 2010 in Vancouver, there was some blowback from victim advocacy groups because Salvation Army would every year go into prisons and give gifts to all the prisoners and stuff, and like play Santa to the prisoners, and the victims groups were like, well, what do you do for victims? You're doing all this stuff for the prisoners. So that is kind of weird. Yeah. I mean, I would be kind of weirded out if I was a prisoner. Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I just killed 3 people for 3 pounds of coke. Why would I want to be visited by Santa Claus? Yeah, exactly. Well, I think a lot of it too is they're very much into all the times that Jesus or the apostles talked about what you do for the poor and what you do for the sick and stuff, and they also talk a lot about what you do for the prisoner. Yep. So I'm not saying that things shouldn't be done for the prisoners. I do think a lot more should be done, especially in the States. Yeah. Which I think I saw a thing recently. Sorry, tangent. No. Yeah, no. About California pushing to ban private prisons in the state. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that went through or not, or if it was being sent to the Supreme Court or something like that. But that could be a very positive step in the right direction.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, they need to get rid of
the private prison system is
it's disgusting. Yeah. But on the other hand, I get their point too. It's like, well, they don't deserve. I don't know what they deserve. They're still human beings, so it's a tough. Yeah.
The thing is, though, there are other systems in place that have worked, and the big problem with a lot of the prison systems is, I think it's recidivism.
Yeah.
Which is the tendency for prisoners to become repeat offenders.
Yeah.
And the current incarceration system, as we kind of have it, especially in the States, has because there is no real emphasis on rehabilitation or anything like that, there is a high recidivism rate.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of repeat offenders.
Yeah.
And once they kind of fall into the system, they get trapped in the system. And it's just a constant cycle where, you get out of prison and then you get put on parole. And then as soon as you do like one little thing, you get put back in prison.
Yeah.
And then there's like a 3-strike rule. So it doesn't matter what you do. Like you might have, say you've turned your life around, like you went to prison twice for 2 big offenses and then you turn your life around. And I don't know, maybe you get caught with, smoking a joint.
Yeah.
You can go to prison for 25 years.
Yeah.
For nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there are much better ways. I don't know specifically what they are. I'm not an expert on this, but I would like to think that I understand people's desire for quote unquote justice.
Yeah.
And how people can feel that these people need to be punished.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's serving everybody in a long-term way. There's a lot more that can be done and probably should be done.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
So I don't know how we got talking about this anymore.
They would be Santa Claus.
Oh, Santa Claus and the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Right. We were saying that we should have things done for the prisons. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's all right. Let's see. Oh yeah, and there was the Australian sex abuse scandal. So it was kind of shown that from the 1940s to the 1980s, the Salvation Army shelters and orphanages in Australia, there was just revealed to be a lot of sexual abuse throughout the years by different people. And the Salvation Army's response was pretty shitty at first.
Well, we've talked about things like this before in other organizations.
Yeah.
It seems to be a very, unfortunately, a very common place for things like this to happen.
Because like you see this need, you see these kids that need to be taken care of, and you just want as many people as you can to help out. And if somebody's willing to help out.
But they're also very, very vulnerable.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
there's not really people who really care about them.
Yeah.
As shitty as that is, but that's what it is. They don't have somebody fighting for these kids all the time.
You're going to sleep better at night knowing that, oh yeah, they're in a place, they have a roof over their head.
Yeah, you think, oh, they're good. Okay, there's a place, they're safe. Yeah. But then there are people in there who take that as an opportunity who are like, they don't have parents who care about them. They don't have people who are checking up on them. I can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is terrible.
Yeah. So I guess, and that's another thing is the unpaid labor. So the government cracked down on, in the UK, cracked down on the Salvation Army for the amount of unpaid labor that they were using from the members of their church and stuff like that. So kind of, if you're running a store, maybe pay your employees.
Right.
And so that was...
Is that the fault of the organization, though, or the fault of the people who keep accepting volunteer positions to do it?
Yeah. But within religions, too, there's sometimes undue pressure based on the way you're raised. And
I get that. At the same time, just like grow a fucking pair.
Yeah.
And do something about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I totally get it. I understand those pressures.
Yeah.
We all succumb to them in different ways.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like enough is enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to be like, hey, my time is worth something here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to help out sometimes, but I don't know.
I found that too with going to church, growing up in church and stuff. There's so much like volunteer stuff that you were kind of expected to do.
Yeah.
And then nothing against volunteering, but at a certain point you just feel taken advantage of. And then
right. As someone who doesn't volunteer really,
yeah,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
but please, continue.
Yeah, but like, you'd get this like fatigue of
Mm-hmm.
just constantly doing these things that it just would begin to feel like forced labor.
Right.
And I remember even as a youth pastor, I was very firm because the church really wanted us to get more of the kids from the church involved in church, but they also saw it as a free labor pool. And so they'd be like, hey, Trevor, we need your youth group to clean up after this event or whatever. And
See, that's not
Exactly.
volunteering, because
Yeah.
volunteering is a very important thing. There are a lot of people who take a lot of their time to do very good things.
Yeah.
I probably should volunteer. I just don't.
Yeah. Same. I got to get back.
I feel, saying it out loud, I feel like a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I probably should do something for someone else. But at the same time, I'm young, I'm dumb, I don't.
Full of cum. Yeah.
Exactly. And I got priorities, Trevor.
Yeah.
And helping other people, that ain't one of them.
That ain't one of them.
Yeah, actually, in a way, we volunteer our time to do this.
Exactly.
So this is our volunteering for. So that's hashtag Damien shut up.
Actually, yeah, I remember too. A couple years ago, I was involved in my friend's church after I was kind of out as an atheist and everything. But he was like, just be involved in their talent night. They had a talent night once a month.
Yeah,
and it was kind of a fun little thing that they did. So I was like, yeah, I'll help out. And one time I got there early, and they were still setting up for their church service that night, and they asked me. The way I was asked if I would run the overheads for the music just brought back so many memories of how I was like just pressured into doing things I didn't want to do, and it was like almost triggering, bringing me back. And
I can definitely see that. Like being in the arts and stuff, you end up doing a lot of stuff for free.
Yeah.
Whether it be because you're either trying to get stage time, or you're trying to be involved with something, or it's a project that you really want to do and there really isn't any money for it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are situations where it just feels like they don't have anyone else to do it, so they're like, you fucking do it.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the worst. But yeah, any other thoughts on the Salvation Army?
I wanted to like them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The thing I do like, the thing I really like is that they put their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like they really believe that Christ was telling them to do good things for the down and out, and they do it. And I think that's a good thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the first like half of the episode, we're talking about where it started. Yeah. What their kind of ideals are as far as helping the people who really need the help. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic message, and it's something that I think a lot of these organizations have. Yeah. But don't really enforce.
Yeah, exactly. But there's definitely things about them that I don't like.
There's still going to be problems. I think no matter what you do, there's going to be problems. Mm-hmm. I think it's almost impossible not to have some sort of problem. Yeah. Especially on the scales, the scale of it. Yeah. You're going to have some sort of problem.
Yeah. But I say think twice maybe about where you put your donation money. Yeah. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but especially when it's cold and stuff like that, homeless shelters always need socks, and they always need razors. And you can also just find out what they need. So call up your local homeless shelters, see what they need, and get them some stuff.
I would say that's probably the most important thing you can do. Yeah. If you want to help people, if you want to put money into your community, if you want to help people in need, find your local charities. Yeah. Find these local organizations, these shelters, these people who are doing stuff. If you can, find the secular ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Find the ones where, people are putting in their time to help people and they're actually doing something. Find the ones where they have experts working with them. They have people in the mental health, like they have doctors, they have, people who actually know what people need. Yeah. And not what they think people need.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to our segment.
All right, what's the segment today?
It's a Bible quiz.
Oh, another quiz.
Bible trivia.
Where's our Bible?
Where's our Bible?
Where's our goddamn Bible?
We don't have a Bible in here.
Why
we have a Bible? We never have.
It's a bar.
All the answers C.
Most of them are, yes.
Okay. Did I pass?
Yeah, you did. I don't know actually if this one maybe not actually. This is a Christmas themed one though.
Noise.
That was very quiet. Let me try it again.
Try it again.
Noise.
Oh, still quiet.
Noise.
How would I raise that in post?
Right.
No, do it again.
Wait. I'm going to see if the volume will go up.
Okay.
Oh, that's why. There we go. Bring that down. Bring this down.
Noise.
There
There it is. That's a good noise. Okay, Christmas Bible trivia.
All right.
According to historical figures, according to the historical figures mentioned in the Bible, so like Herod and etc., where can we place Jesus' birth? What year can we place Jesus' birth? 0 CE, sometime before 4 BCE, sometime after 6 CE, or D, both B and C?
I'm going to say E, none of the above.
Because he didn't exist?
That too. That's F. So I'm going to do F, which is both E and F.
Okay.
And E is that they don't say BCE or
I guess AD
CE.
or I don't think they'd say any of it.
So that's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Is it D though? It's D.
It's D because Matthew says that Jesus was born during the reign of Herod, which who died in 4 BC. Luke says that he was born during Quirinius, governor of Syria, and he began his reign in 6 AD. So if one's correct, then he was born before 4 BC, and if the other one's correct, he would have had to have been born after 6 AD.
Okay, so there's a bit of a range.
Yeah.
Right.
In Matthew 2, verse 16 to 18, Herod orders the murder of all newborn babies. How many other historical records from that time recall such an event?
I know this.
Yeah?
0.
Yes. You'd think the ruler ordering the death of all the babies would be recorded somewhere besides a story that was written many years later.
You think someone would write about how all the babies are dead?
Yeah, but nope, nothing.
Yes, if a baby Holocaust happened, someone would write something about it.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Exactly.
You can write in and tell us if you think that the baby Holocaust is newsworthy or not.
Believe it or not, at Believe It or Not podcast.
Maybe we'll make
or
a poll.
at Believe It or Not. One of the two.
Let's do an interactive
We'll do
poll.
a poll. Okay. In Luke and Matthew, Mary and Joseph had to go to Bethlehem for a census because it was the birthplace of Joseph's ancestors. This was A, commonplace at the time and wouldn't have been a big deal. B, was a strange request even for the time, but historical records showed it happened. Or C, never would have happened because it's a fucking stupid way to do a census.
C?
Yeah, it was C.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's my Christmas Bible quiz.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow. The Bible man.
The Bible man. Fucking right.
Man, I've never read the Bible.
Man.
I don't know if I've talked about this before. There was one point in high school where we had a Bible.
Mm-hmm.
We had like one or two for some reason. And of course,
Stole them from motels.
I wish. You ever sign the Bible when you're in a hotel?
No, from God?
From Jesus?
No, that's
your
great.
pal, Jesus?
Yeah.
That's always fun. And I was just like, maybe I'll try to read this. I want to see what it's about. And I think I got about a third of the way through Genesis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this
is insane.
This is awful.
Did you get to Tower of Babel?
No, I got maybe 3 pages in and I lost interest. And I remember it was like one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm like, I should do this. And trying and maybe reading like another paragraph and being like, okay, it's not that important to me.
I'm going to go read
Harry Potter again.
Or Harriet the Spy.
I never read Harriet the Spy. Read Harry Potter.
Me neither. I read Encyclopedia Brown.
The funny thing is, for the amount of times I've read Harry Potter, I don't believe in magic.
Oh.
So you would think
did
that...
any of your spells happen? Did you read them out loud, though?
Well, they have this thing called audiobooks and movies where these spells have been said millions of times, and then people in their real lives are reading to their children, and there have been, I think, 0 cases of a spell happening.
Oh.
So I'm going to say it hasn't happened.
Okay.
But it might have, and I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like, there's the one where you unlock doors.
Right.
Right? Alohomora.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've said it and unlocked a door, if I just didn't lock the door to begin
Right.
with. Right? So,
That's true. You never know.
You never know.
Have you ever floated, though?
No.
Um.
Well, no. In a pool? Not well.
Oh, right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let us know. Tell us if you floated or anything from a Harry Potter spell. Also, tell us what you want there to be a war on for Christmas.
Yeah.
For Christmas time.
If you got things that you think we need to rage about, whether it be the red cups at your local coffee shop, whether it be mall Santas, whether it be having to go to your relatives and talk to them and give them gifts and get gifts that you don't really want, and you'd say you'd rather just have cash, but you can't say that because it's kind of a faux pas, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you don't really want gift cards because it's limiting. And if they're going to give you gift cards, they may as well give you money anyway because it's exactly the same as gift cards, except there's no, limitations on it. Let us know.
Let us know. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe.
Bye.
That's YouTube. Shit.
Work, Sky Moon.